Simon Sinek's Golden Circle framework presents us with the notion that all organisations function on three fundamental levels. These consist of what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. When combined, these concepts provide insight for both employees and consumers, helping them to understand the driving force behind a company and the key aspects of the services or products that set them apart from their competitors. This driving force is known as the why. While most firms are proficient in their services and organisational procedures, few can successfully determine the inspiration behind the company itself. This can be problematic, as a firm that cannot identify its own reasons for operating will find it difficult to display an absolutely clear and understandable front. Ultimately, this results in a lack of trust between a company and its employees and consumers. Fortunately, there are many successful organisations that can identify their why, the benefits of which can be seen in their successes. Airbnb is an excellent example of an organisation that recognises its inspiration and uses it to drive decision-making and innovation within the company. Airbnb was formed in 2008 after the company's founders had the experience of sharing their spare rooms with strangers. The occurrence gave birth to the idea that for a small fee, strangers could actually sleep in each other's homes and share in the diversity that the global village has to offer. This was the beginning of a brilliant business proposition that, with some nurturing, would eventually materialise into the creation of a virtual platform that is a successful collaborative experience today known as Airbnb.
Sinek's Golden Circle framework presents the idea that when companies are clear about their purpose, otherwise known as the why, employees and consumers alike are able to understand it. Clarity on an organization's part can inspire its employees to contribute to the organization's livelihood through innovations and business solutions. Where consumers are concerned, a clear company purpose can be effectively communicated to a society in a way that invites people to support and hold the company in high regard. Essentially, by inspiring individuals through their why, companies tend to add a certain value to the day-to-day lives of those invested in them, whether directly or indirectly. How will our idea add something to our society? Was one of the many questions that Airbnb's co-founder, Brian Chesky, had to consider when forming the foundations of Airbnb. His answer was simple. He determined that the company's customers want to become insiders and be able to engage with the people and the cultures of communities that they are visiting. Basically, they want to feel like more than just tourists. So Chesky came to the conclusion that Airbnb would serve the humanistic needs of people to share in the diversity of all cultures and thus feel like they belong anyway. This powerful statement will later become Airbnb's promotional tagline and the driving purpose of the company thereafter. Belonging everywhere is something more than just low price and easy access to quality spaces. It is something more significant, more profound. That is, it is an opportunity to experience a completely different life and replace what might have been a simple transaction with the prospect of forming a relationship, which unfortunately is a rare experience in our disconnected world. A touch of humanity and a sense of belonging, therefore, is what sets Airbnb apart from others in the so-called sharing economy. At its core, Airbnb involves the most intimate human interactions, visiting people in their homes, sleeping in their beds, and experiencing their lives. Airbnb's mission to society, therefore, starts with restoring a strong sense of belonging, which now stands disrupted by impersonal travel experiences that are also responsible for creating mistrust and disconnect among the people. Thankfully, people have gradually warmed up to the concept of room sharing since its formation, which has led to a larger number of individuals using Airbnb's services. For example, in any given night, more than 1 million people could potentially be staying in homes on Airbnb in 65,000 cities all over the world, which could surpass the room occupancy of the top 5 hotel chains in the world.
Airbnb's mission was to create a sense of belonging for the discerning traveller wherever in the world they may be. How they achieve this is by creating this world where people of different cultures and backgrounds can connect and interact through travel. Essentially, they have created an Airbnb community. Hosts and travellers all belong to this Airbnb community. They all have a common human bond. They want to feel happy, they want to feel safe, and they want to belong. Airbnb gives hosts the opportunity to offer up their spare space to travellers, thus allowing travellers to gain access to unconventional types of accommodation in areas which are normally off the beaten track. The whole Airbnb experience allows guests to develop connections with their hosts and immerse themselves in the culture of their travel destination. Through these connections, guests can get access to local knowledge and the best kept secrets of their destination. Therefore, they get to live like the locals do. They get to belong. To create this community and feeling of belonging, Airbnb have used the power of technology to create trust between strangers. They have created a user-friendly website and mobile app which gives travellers access to millions of properties all over the world to suit every need and budget. By setting up a free account, travellers can search their perfect property. Once this has been found, guests can directly message the host for any further information they require or request to book. It is then up to the host to accept or decline the reservation. It is a very simple process that Airbnb have put together, but it has worked for millions of people around the world who are part of the Airbnb community.
Airbnb is a prime example of a company that leads with its why, which, according to Cynic's Golden Circle framework, presents a clear outline of its driving forces to employees and consumers alike. The inspiration behind Airbnb can be seen in every facet of its existence, from the tagline "Belong Anywhere" to the millions of people that share in the Airbnb community. Additionally, the company has utilised its driving purpose as inspiration for its employees, which has led to the creation of highly successful products such as the Airbnb online booking platform that has expanded the company's customer base to massive proportions since its inception. By resonating its why in everything that it does, Airbnb has essentially cemented its success in the global travel accommodation market and will likely continue to grow as shared accommodation gains popularity.